Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
अर्जुन उवाच स्थाने हृषीकेश तव प्रकीर्त्या जगत्प्रहृष्यत्यनुरज्यते च रक्षांसि भीतानि दिशो द्रवन्ति सर्वे नमस्यन्ति च सिद्धसङ्घाः तस्माच्च तेन मेरन्महात्मन् गरीयसे ब्रह्मणोऽप्यादिकर्त्रे अनन्तदेवेश जगन्निवास त्वमक्षरं सदसत्तत्परं यत् त्वमादिदेवः पुरुषः पुराणः त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् वेत्तासि वेद्यं च परं च धाम त्वया ततं विश्वमनन्तरूप वायुर्यमोऽग्निर्वरुणश्च शाङ्कः प्रजापतिस्त्वं प्रपितामहश्च नमो नमस्तेऽस्तु सहस्रकृत्वः पुनश्च भूयोऽपि नमो नमस्ते नमः पुरस्तादथ पृष्ठतस्ते नमोऽस्तु ते सर्वत एव सर्व अनन्तवीर्यामितविक्रमस्त्वं सर्वं समाप्नोषि ततोऽसि सर्वः सखेति मत्वा प्रसभं यदुक्तम् हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति अजानता महिमानं तवेदं मया प्रमादात् प्रणयेन वापि यच्छावहासार्थमसत्कृतोऽसि विहारशय्यासनभोजनेषु एकोऽथवाप्यच्युत तत्समक्षम् तत्क्षामये त्वामहमप्रमेयम् पितासि लोकस्य चराचरस्य त्वमस्य पूज्यश्च गुरुर्गरीयान् न त्वत्समोऽस्त्यभ्यधिकः कुतोऽन्यः लोकत्रयेऽप्यप्रतिमप्रभाव तस्मात् प्रणम्य प्रणिधाय कायम् प्रसादये त्वामहमीशमीड्यम् पितेव पुत्रस्य सखेव सख्युः प्रियप्रियाया सखि देव सोढुम् अदृष्टपूर्वं दृशितोऽस्मि दृष्ट्वा भयेन च प्रव्यथितं मनो मे तदेव मे दर्शय देवरूपम् प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास।
Clarification. One way to understand others' pain is by having a unique, specific, subjective connection known as attachment. to an object, being, or situation, or by having experienced a similar painful object, being, or situation. Correct. Another way is through general identification. Clarification. What does identification mean? How can I develop identification with every being so that I don't need to experience the same situation to understand that pain, but can recognize and respond to it appropriately? The clarification is there are two ways. One is you can identify when you have gone through it. When you have gone through a pain, you can understand the pain of another. Distinct and different from that is what we call as general identification, means love. Another thing is when you love somebody, you can still understand their pain and respond appropriately, even though you need not go through it by yourself. That's the two things. We'll explain how it works. So the clarification that she is asking is, unless you have gone through something similar, how can you even identify somebody is in pain? How can you actually identify and respond appropriately if you have not gone through it? That is one way. So most of the time our identification is always in relation to the pain that I have gone through, and then I can go and identify, oh my God, I know I was in the same, I know I went through it, I know how it works, I know how it happens. That is one way. Distinct and different. The proper way, the proper Vedic method is you should not go through it. You need not go through it. Out of love, you should be able to identify. You follow what I'm saying? What is this identification that helps you to understand the pain of another, even though you will never ever be susceptible to that? Carefully follow. You will never ever go through it. You will never ever be susceptible to that. But still, you will be able to identify and help. How? When you look at life, when you experience life through your raga and dvesha, you see it differently. The raga and dvesha is ahankara and mamakara, the I and the mind. Now, the ahankara, the I and the mind, and raga and dvesha. So the I and the mind, the raga and the dvesha gives you a colored vision of life. Gives you a colored vision. When I say gives you a colored vision, means you see it according to your likes and dislikes. It is like wearing a blue color glass, everything will look blue. If you wear a green color glass, everything will have the shade of that green. Similarly, everything that you see will have your shade of likes and dislikes. Now, when you look at life through this glass of likes and dislikes, you will never ever be able to identify, or whatsoever identification that happens when you are wearing that blue color glass will be restricted, limited to what? To your pain. Supposing if you have not gone through that, you will never ever be even able to identify. That's why we find in most of the areas of our life, human beings are simply indifferent. Again, I repeat, in most of the areas, human beings are just indifferent. Why? Because there is no prior experience. There is nothing that happened in the past that they can identify with the pain. One. Number two is Because of that indifference, there may be a philosophical outlook also. Because of the indifference, there may be a philosophical outlook. What is the philosophical outlook? Everybody will go through pain. Why make it a big deal? All this philosophical activity, all this philosophical outlook, all this philosophical discourse stems from an indifference. It means I feel there is no necessity for me to get up and do something and help the other. Again, I repeat, philosophical outlook means I feel there is no need for me to get up and do something to help the other. Why this philosophical outlook, not wanting to help, the indifference, etc., everything stems from a root. What is the single root? The colored glass. The colored glass of your likes and the colored glass of your likes and dislikes. Your likes and dislikes means exactly like you see the particular shape of a cloud and you project Om there, isn't it? Supposing if you have not seen Om at all before, it will just appear like a cloud only. You follow what I'm saying? Most of the time, we project what our likes and dislikes, our ahankara and mamakara is. What is love means? Love can happen when the intensity of your raga dvesha has reduced and when your ahankara and mamakara has reduced. So the true identification is more of an effect of reduction of your raga dvesha, your ahankara and mamakara. Then only you will be able to do it. Now, reduction of ahankara and mamakara means what? Reduction of raga dvesha means what? You look at it in the way it ought to be seen. Okay. It is difficult to explain what love is, but it is easy to say what all it is not. You follow? Okay, understand it like that. When you are emotionally disturbed, the emotional disturbed mind starts making its own laws of life. You know that? LAWS, not LOSS. When the mind is disturbed, when the mind is disturbed, when you are emotional, affected, very difficult to obey the law. In that affected state, you start creating, the mind starts making its own law. You understand this, you will not want to be a victim of raga and dvesha. Because when you are emotional, you start making your own laws, you start making your own principles, you start interpreting everything so differently, out of which love can never come. Sometimes we will say, they deserve it. In fact, there can be a joy in the suffering of, there can be a very subtle joy in the suffering of the other also can happen. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, what is love means? Love means you understand the law is functioning. You understand that if anybody is going through anything, it is because of the dharma. It is because of the dharma. The same dharma that has taught you that they are going through it because of their own creation, it also teaches you that you can do something to help them out also. So the law of dharma has two parts. It explains that it explains that they go through it for their own, because of their own making, they go through it. At the same time, it also tells you that you can do something to help them out. So love means starting to thinking what you can do to help them out. That's all. Identification means this, what you can do to help them out. Never interested in knowing why. Why they are going through it, sir? That's not your problem. That's not your problem. In fact, the entire Vishwarupa study is that. The entire Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga study itself is how to create this, how to develop this. When somebody is going through a pain, your job is not to investigate the past. Investigate the past. All that you can do is what I can do now. In fact, when quite a few people who are very close to me come to me in the initial stages with some issues, I tell them, I don't want to know what happened in the past. First thing I tell them, I don't want to know what happened in the past. Full stop. Number two, it's not a therapy where I want to go back into your past and start digging it and making you reliving it again and again and again. For what? There is a pain now. Let us see what we can do to get rid of the pain. But sir, unless you know the root of the problem, how can you solve the problem? I say, we know the root of the problem already. Some adharma has happened. That's all. Some adharma has happened. There is the pain. Full stop. Now, what is that actual adharma? What is those details and all is inconsequential. Are you able to follow? Very fact that it has happened, the very fact that they are going through a pain means what? Some adharma has happened. Dharma is like this. Even when somebody slaps you, you will not feel the pain if dharma is protecting you. Adharma means nobody has to slap you. Your own mind will create situations and it will whip you up. That is adharma. Do you understand the difference? and when you see people going through it, you know that their own mind is bringing it up something and whipping itself, because see, that's how the law works. That's what he says as Vishwarupa. When he saw that Vishwarupa, Arjuna got scared, no? What is that Vishwarupa? The effective functioning of Vishwarupa is the effective functioning of the law. The same law that explains to you what the effective functioning is the same law that tells you what you can do to help them. You follow? So you need not go through that pain. Now I'm answering the question directly. You need not go through, you should not be going through that pain. Then only there will be a genuine understanding. Pain is caused by adharma. This is the law. Take it or leave it. Pain is caused by adharma. If dharma is protecting you, even fire will not burn you. If dharma is protecting you, you will be like Sita, walking into the fire and walk out untouched. Now you don't have to go into the fire and all. Wherever you are burning all the time. Are you able to understand the difference? See, when there is this dharma protecting, you can walk into the fire. You know how Sita walked in and walked out. In the olden days, they say, no, how do you know? Oh, they say this man is accused of stealing. This person is accused stealing. They say, okay, did you steal? The person says, no, I have not. Okay, prove it. How can you prove it? I'm telling you, no, that is not the proof. Isn't it? Because every thief will say, I didn't steal. There was since this person himself is saying, therefore, yeah, this is how politics works, isn't it? Politics works like this. Dharma doesn't work like that. So Dharma says what? Okay, have you not stolen? No. Okay. Then put both your hands in boiling oil. You turn back and say, what madness it is. If there is the dharma that is protecting you, you can dip your hand in boiling oil and come out untouched. Don't try all this literally, or don't take all this literally. It's not to be seen literally. The conviction is you have not done it, therefore you are protected. The conviction is that. You have not done it, therefore you are protected. You have not done it, therefore you are protected. Are you able to follow what I mean? Symbolically, they say it like that. So pain, if you are going through a pain, if anybody is going through a pain, that pain is created by adharma. Within brackets. Pain is caused by adharma. Within brackets. What should come within brackets? Which is implied in that. One's own. Pain is caused by, within brackets, one's own adharma. If somebody does an adharma, you will not get burnt. Are you able to follow? Therefore, in order to help somebody, you should not be going. That's why, if you remember, I started by saying you should not be going through that pain. Because you are so dharmic that you know. And because of that, you are so dharmic, you can also understand the intensity of the pain. Because of your dharmic nature, you can understand the intensity of the pain of the other. Not only you understand the intensity of the pain of the other, there is an objectivity to it where you know what to do to help them out. So love is a combination of dharma, objectivity, all these factors put together. Therefore, you should not be going through it. You should not be going through it. You follow? So yeah, there is no need for you to go through. Then only it's called love. Otherwise, if I have to understand the pain of others, which is caused by adharma, it means I also must do something adharma, get to the pain, then only. No. Through knowledge and understanding itself, I should know what adharma can do. Through knowledge and understanding itself, I should know what adharma can do. See, attachment is adharmic. Attachment is adharma, no. We don't see it like that. Attachment is adharma, it is. And we want only attachment. Isn't it? When you are getting attached, you don't understand attachment as adharma. You believe attachment is love, and that love is dharma. Tamasic intellect. What he calls as in the 18th chapter, he calls it as tamasic intellect. Therefore, all love ends up in misery and pain. Is there anybody who is in love and being joyful? Is there anybody who is loving and not being suspicious? See, when you love, suspicion comes. What kind of love is that? Where there is suspicion? What are you even suspecting? You follow? Attachment, exclusivity, ownership. All this is adharma. Tragedy in that, we don't see it as adharma. Our concept of dharma, I don't know what weird notions of dharma, adharma we have, but as far as Vedas are concerned, these are all. Therefore, you need not go through the pain to You should not be going through it. Then only you can then only you can identify it, identify with it rightly. Identifying with it rightly means you know the disease and you have the solution. That's called identification. Identification means it's no, oh, I am with you, I am there for you always. We will travel together. It is not that emotional talk. You follow what I'm saying? You know, you know the you know the disease, and also you have the solution. Love is both. Because of love, you understand that the solution is running a marathon with the other, and you have energy to run marathon with the other. Otherwise, you get tired. Are you able to follow? You have understood it. You have understood it. You have the solution, and you know for the solution to work takes a period of time, and you are willing to. You have the sufficient energy to try to run the marathon with the other, because it is not like giving the prescription and say now you go back and do it. It cannot be done like. You follow? Very interesting thing is this identification. Is it okay? Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I believe I am Dharmic,
Yes.
but I fear fire.
Yes.
So how to understand this politics?
Yeah. The clarification is, I believe that I am dharmic, but I am afraid of putting my hands in the burning oil. How do I understand that? I believe I am dharmic. I gave an example. You can put the hands in the boiling oil. See, you understand dharma as the supreme law, the ultimate law. That ultimate law, that supreme law is there as an protective armor around you. Because of the conviction of the protective armor, you feel you don't feel the fear, you don't feel threatened, you don't feel frightened. You follow what I'm saying? Adharma has a fear always. Dharma knows no fear. The fear itself means some selfishness has. Fear itself means some selfishness has come in. To that extent, to the extent that you are selfish, there will be adharma and there will be a pain. Well, very difficult is, when I say very difficult means very difficult is to understand how dharma is going to protect. Because we all believe that we have not done anything wrong at all and still suffer in life. We believe life is injustice. No. There's no such thing called injustice at all. You follow what I'm saying? It is, the fear is because of what? You feel that, oh my God, if I have not done anything wrong. Since I have not done anything wrong, I can walk into the fire. Fire changes its nature of burning because of your Shraddha and Dharma. Fire itself changes its nature. Imagine the elements changing its nature. Like they say, in Ramayana, rocks were floating. No. Yeah. He didn't have, he didn't put pile foundation and put up the building and built bridges and all. All that they did was just throw random rocks and walk across, isn't it? Ocean said, what did ocean say? I will not drown. Because where does rock float? Where does rock float? And that too, all the jumping monkeys walking on that. Yeah, all the unorderly, disorderly whole lot is walking on that, but still it stood. No. Why? Because it's not a petty husband's attachment to the wife that he is going in searching of wife. It's not a very petty attachment. Something so deep, something so profound in that. Elements will change their nature. Because dharma is the supreme. That's Shraddha. Don't take it literally. Don't take it literally. That's why I said disclaimer. To test my dharma, I put my hand, sir, and if it gets burnt, it will get burnt only. You follow? Are you okay? There is an element of selfishness. Because in the deepest core, you know that, no? In the deepest core, you know that. How much ever you try to cover it up, how much ever you try to justify it, how much ever you have your inner conversations with you and keep on telling yourself that you are right, that you are right, that you are right. It just doesn't work like that. You follow? Okay. Pain is caused by adharma. Whose adharma causes my pain? It's answered already. Your own. It's your own adharma. If somebody has done adharma, they will suffer. For somebody's adharma, you need not suffer. You suffer because you are a mishram. Mishram means mixture of dharma and adharma. Proportion differs. That's all. Love means the proportion of dharma and adharma is very less. That there is only dharma, no adharma at all. In the case of an ordinary human being, it's a mixture. What is a mixture? It's called mishram. In Sanskrit, it's called mishram. Mishram means a mixture, a combination. Some good things I do, some bad things also I do. Some positive thoughts I have, some negative thoughts I have. So whatsoever I experience, the resultant will be a combination of the both the forces. Remember, life treats you as an individual. The law of dharma treats you individually. It doesn't treat you collectively. It doesn't treat you collectively as in you, your family, you are so not. It doesn't treat you collectively. It treats you individually. You follow what I'm saying? It treats you individually. Individually means whatsoever you are as an individual, it's your mental state is your responsibility. That's all. Individually means what? Your mental state is your responsibility. That's all. Next clarification. I'll come back. Vijay Rangan. You mentioned that when helping someone in pain, we shouldn't delve into their past. However, when giving judgments or providing solutions to either party, it appears necessary to look back and understand the causes. Could you clarify this distinction? Vijay Rangan. இங்க இருக்கிறார் அவரு விஜயரங்கன். விஜயரங்கன். ஆர்பிட்ரேஷன்லாம் கிடையாது இங்க. In arbitration, you have to do that. Here we are not doing arbitration. Dharma treats you individually. In order to in order to pass a judgment, you have to be a neutral person. Objectivity. There has to be a neutrality. There has to be an objectivity. What is objectivity and neutrality means? Objectivity and neutrality comes only when your raga dvesha is reducing. Reduce your raga dvesha, you become detached, you become objective. Then you can see things clearly. You follow? In the context of dharma. Now, in the context of certain things like, what do I say? In the context of some worldly matters, we are not discussing those issues here. In the human court, both the parties have to be assembled, isn't it? In the human court, both the parties have to be assembled. Investigations has to be done. Forensic auditing or forensic department we all have to do so many things to get to that data. Why? Because we are not all knowing. We are not all knowing. We operate on a very we operate with the mustard size data. Dharma is all knowing, Vijayarangan. Therefore, it won't go through this process of human being process. You understand the fundamental difference? In the case of a human being operation, we necessarily have to do all this. Supposing there is a case, supposing when you are doing something, you need to look into the documents, you have to look into the agreements, you have to see the violations, whether it was with the law, not with the law, all those things you have to do. Why? Because of the very fundamental factor. What is the fundamental factor? Number one, we are not all knowing. Number two, there is always an intention to. Number one, we are not all knowing. Number two, there is always an intention for. There is always an intention for profit booking. There is always an intention of profit booking. Win for everybody. Isn't it? If one person is making a profit, somewhere somebody is making a loss. No. A profit is made, somewhere a loss is made. That is why more the profit you make, more taxes you have to pay. It's perfectly legitimately right to do that. You know that? More you earn, more taxes you have to pay. Why? It's a dharmic law, it is. Why? Because that much of profiteering you are doing. It means you are denying so many. Therefore, what the law does, what the government does as a representative of the law will say, we will ensure that. And then these people, oh, the law is very cruel. Why do I have to pay? Why do I have to pay so much of? Why do I have to pay so much of taxes? Because I have to avoid taxes. I'll do. Dharma operates on a different plane, Vijayarangan. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, Dharma doesn't have these two notions. Dharma doesn't have these two problems. What are the two problems? Dharma operates on the all-knowing principle. Number two, Dharma doesn't have any profit booking motives. Since it doesn't have these two, it can be, that's why it's called the law, objectivity, neutrality. Supposing if you have any of these, you cannot do this. You follow, Vijayarangan? That's why they say sometimes in the human court also, some of the judges say, I rescue myself from this case. They say, no. What is meant by rescuing something? Because somewhere somebody can come and say there is a specific personal thing involved in that. It means to that extent your objectivity will get colored. You follow? Dharma is very different. Because you are operating from the angle of dharma, you need not delve into the past at all. When human beings are operating on as limited knowledge, we necessarily have to go into the past. I don't know what all we are doing now. We have to do all that because we need data. We need data because we are not all knowing. Dharma doesn't need data because it's all. You understand the difference? Yeah. Yes.
So to achieve at least relative identification, one should have necessarily lived a high dharmic way of life and achieved Chitta Shuddhi. Otherwise, even that is not possible, right?
The clarification is, even to achieve relative identification, you should be living a dharmic life. Yes. You should live a very dharmic life. Okay? You should be able to live that dharmic life. Tapas is the effort tapas means the effort that you are doing to live this dharmic life. Tapas means that. So, relatively, to have an identification, you should have done tapas. We say you should have done some tapas. Tapas means what? To live a life of dharma. You follow? All attended? Clarification by Deepika. Okay. Last week, you had elaborated on the subject of pain and said pain is a mixture of real and imaginary. Can you please define real pain? Question mark. How do you draw a line between real and imaginary pain? Pain being subjective, would it be possible to quantify and determine real pain? Well, question. Pain is a mixture of real and imaginary. Statement. Can you please define real pain? How do you draw a line between real and imaginary pain? Pain being subjective, would it be possible to quantify and determine real pain? Answer. The word imaginary is used in the sense of exaggeration, magnification. Again, I repeat. The word imaginary is used in the sense of magnification. That magnification is imaginary because your mind is. That magnification is your mind. So imaginary means magnification, not hallucinating. It is magnification. How do you know the real pain and the imaginary pain? How do you distinguish between the real pain and the imaginary pain? Real pain means it will not cripple you. Imaginary pain means it will cripple you. ஒன்னும் செய்ய முடியாத பான்னு உட்கார்ந்துட்டா it is imaginary pain. Real pain will not cripple you. Imaginary pain will cripple you. Again, I repeat. Imaginary pain, magnified pain will cripple you. Cripple you means you will say, you will feel that one more step you will die. Fear of death. Imaginary pain, that is. Real is what? Real pain means what? In spite of it, everything will continue. How do you distinguish between real pain and imaginary pain? If pain is crippling you, means you understand it as mind has magnified it. How do you say that? Body has its own way of recuperating. I'm not talking about physical pain now. In Vedanta, we always talk about pain as in mental pain. That has to be very clear. We give physical pain as an example, but we are not discussing physical pain. We don't discuss physical pain. We don't treat physical pain here. அதுக்கு டாக்டர் கிட்ட தான் போகணும், isn't it? If we have a physical pain, in this classroom, we don't treat physical, we don't discuss physical pain. We don't treat physical pain in this classroom. For that, you have to only go to the doctor. You can't go to the same doctor for anxiety and stress and fear and agony and the other problem, isn't it? Here, you cannot ask prescription for the physical pain. You can't go to the doctor and ask prescription for mental pain. But we do exactly the opposite. You follow the difference? So whenever we talk about pain, we talk about, in this classroom, it's about mental pain. What is mental pain? What is mental pain? Dvesha. See, the emotions that the emotion that overpowers you, the emotions that overpowers you drives you into doing some actions. That overpowering emotion that drives you into doing actions bounces back with its own consequences. Again, I repeat, the emotion that drives you into doing some actions bounces back with its own consequences. When it bounces back with its own consequences, the consequences is the pain. The consequences is the pain. Vedanta says you should not have, before doing it, you have the freedom. After doing it, no freedom. Before doing, freedom. After doing, no freedom. So how do you distinguish between the real pain and the imaginary pain? In spite of the physical pain, mentally you will not be fatigued and tired. There may be a physical pain, but you may not be mentally tired. That's why he says, see, imagine the physical pain endurances they go through. What they call as the army training. Army training would problematic is terrorist training, isn't it? Yeah. Now, what amount of endurance, what amount of physical pain they go through? What drives them? Here, one small, nothing is happening. Some small toothache, some small headache, some small stomach ache is enough to horizontal position or vertical position. Horizontal position, the vertical, this is horizontal, no? This is a horizontal position. Whole day I'll be in the horizontal position. To come to this world and just to sit up only, it gets so, just to sit only is so tiring. You follow? What is imaginary pain? It drowns you. It will not allow you to get up. That is imaginary. Real pain is what? In spite of the pain, physical pain, mentally you are not fatigued and tired. Are you able to follow? When you are mentally exhausted, body becomes inactive. When you are mentally not exhausted, body can continue. Obviously, what it means is, with all its pains and everything, it will still continue. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that you will be an eternal Markandeya like a 15-year-old. Even at 1995, with all the knee problem, hearing problem, eye problem, you will still continue to do what you can do. Are you able to follow? That's a distinction between real pain and imaginary pain. The real pain will not cripple you. Imaginary pain will cripple you. Why? Because in imaginary pain, mind has turned stubborn. Always remember this stubbornness of the mind. Okay. தமிழ்ல வந்து அது what is the word in Tamil for stubbornness? அடம்ன்றது அது இல்லையா? அடமா உட்கார்ந்துருக்கும். It will not budge, will not move. It is so convinced. Shankaracharya can say what he wants to say. Krishna can say what they want to say. At the end of it, the mind will say, you support my indulgence, I will support you. That's the mind. You tell the mind, I will not support your indulgence. The mind will turn back and say, I will not cooperate with you. Are you able to follow? We'll stop. Big deal. That mind needs to be given one tight slap. That's all. Again, I repeat. You support my indulgences, I will support you. You say no to my indulgences, I will not cooperate. Therefore, what do you do helplessly? What do? You have to yield to the mind, because otherwise it is not allowing you to do anything. Isn't it? One of the person was asking me yesterday, we were talking. He was telling her, some problem, some emotional thing. What all I told that person to do, she is not able to do. She turned back and said, I am not able to do what you asked me to do. I said, obviously you will not be able to do. Why? Because you have to do this by saying no to your indulgences. By saying no to your cravings and indulgences, you have to say, do. What the mind is telling you now, you refuse to attend to me, I will not cooperate. You follow? It will just sit stubborn. It will not move. This is imaginary, not real. Are you able to follow? As long as you are continuing to support my addictions, I will cooperate with you, is the mind. Every 1 hour I need a cigarette. You give me that, I will cooperate with you. You deny that, I will not cooperate. Are you able to follow? So, in order to seek the cooperation of the mind, we need to pamper the mind. And when you refuse to pamper the mind and tell the mind, I will do it, whether you cooperate it or not. That is tapas. But sir, mind has to cooperate. No, sir, mind will not cooperate. You don't know what the mind is. Mind can cooperate only when you pamper the mind. Mind will not, lot of tapas needs to be done to make the mind to cooperate. So what does people do? You get addicted. So as long as you are catering to the addiction of the mind, it will cooperate. What is addiction? 1 hour coffee you give, isn't it? 1 hour coffee you give, every hour cigarette you give. That evening, people have very many addictions. No, sensuals. As long as you are continuing to cater to that, mind will cooperate. The moment you say no to that, it will not. It's very, very funny is the way in which this mind operates. So how do you distinguish between the real pain and the imaginary pain? But people are doing, sir, correct. In some cases, in some cases, people are doing it because of what? Whatever minimal I have to do, I am doing, sir. Yeah, that minimal you have to do because that's your bread and butter survival. If you come home, if you know that your bread and butter is there at home, what will you do? Even the minimum you will not do. Are you able to follow the difference? She said, I'm doing the minimal things. I said, no. Don't take pride in it, because if you don't do that minimal, next month bills are not settled. Therefore, for your bread and butter, you do the minimum. Now, when that bread and butter is guaranteed at home, you will not even get up and do. You will not even get up and do that also. This is imaginary pain pulling you down. You follow? Even in ICU also Anushtanams can be done, no? Narayanji. Huh? In ICU. Yeah. ICCU lo kuda that you can still do that. Not that dharma is that is the tapas that protects. You follow? This is how you distinguish between real pain and imaginary pain. Imaginary pain cripples you. Real pain says ignore, because something more important is there to attend to. Are you able to follow? The Nitya Naimitika karma is more important than the pain. Ignore that and go back into that. That is dharma. That's how you distinguish between real pain and imaginary. Imaginary pain says Nitya Naimitika karma to heaven with all that Nitya Naimitika karma nonsense. I will not do it till I get what I want. Are you able to understand the difference now? How to distinguish between real pain and imaginary pain? Imaginary pain and Nitya Naimitika karma will stop. Real pain, in spite of pain, you will continue. That's all the distinguishing factors. It's tough, huh? It's very, it looks very cruel. It looks very heartless. Why don't you say it's okay? Why don't you say it's okay? One day take a break. No, it's okay. No, don't take a. It's not an obsession. It's not an obsession. It is dharma. The Nitya Naimitika karma has to be. See, the Nitya Naimitika karma has to be done. That's all it is. You follow? How do you distinguish between real pain and imaginary pain? Real pain, Nitya Naimitika karma will not stop. Imaginary pain, Nitya Naimitika karma will stop. Example, simple example. I always give this example. Even when the mother is having 102 degrees temperature, fever, she gets up and makes some rasam at least for the family, no? Why? Nitya, it's a Nitya karma that I have to do. It comes from that energy. Are you able to follow? Where does that energy come from? It's a Nitya karma that I have to do. So even, and that rasam also she is not making for herself. That rasam also she is making for the family. Why? Because it's my Nitya karma. That's all it is. Where is the difficulty? You follow? Opposite of that is one remark here, one remark there, something not happening here, something not happening there. Oh, I am in pain, I am in distress, I am suffering, I am this, I am that. Hamper the mind, next day it will support you for Nitya Naimitika Karma. In fact, it is tempting you to support its indulgences. By cooperating, it is tempting you. You don't know the ways of the mind. That's why you tell the mind, stop. Only thing the mind fears is what? Pain. Mind fears pain. And you tell, I am okay with pain. That's all. Break it. The mind always fears pain. Mind fears pain. The law. Again, repeat. Mind fears pain. Tapas means you turn back and say, I'm okay with pain. That's all it is. I'm okay with pain. This is how you distinguish between real and imaginary pain. Yeah. Any more? There's a list. Venkatachalam. Are we ordained by Dharma to act voluntarily against Dharma, judge or guide others? Again, question. Are we ordained by Dharma to act voluntarily against Dharma? Is Dharma decides that we have to become adharmic also, judge or guide others? Venkatachalam. In a way, yes. Dharma that has given you the freedom is to go against Dharma. Again, I repeat. Human being has this freedom. Freedom means freedom to go freedom to go against the law. The natural tendency will be of the mind to go against the law. You have to restrain it. So answering the question, if we don't have the freedom at all to become adharmic, life will be very happy, no? Correct? Supposing if we have no option of adharma at all, life will be very happy. That's the life of an animal. It has no possibility of becoming adharmic at all. It has no possibility of being adharmic at all, isn't it? That's why it cannot eat when it is not hungry. It cannot eat when it is not hungry. It will not violate the law at all. But human being is a unique species. The uniqueness of the human being is what? The liberation that can come by understanding the law. You follow? Venkatachalam. The liberation that a human being can experience. So freedom means freedom to do the wrong thing also. Then only it is called freedom. I have given you freedom. Means you can do the wrong thing also. The same dharma that has given you the freedom The freedom is what technically we call as Purushartha, free will. The dharma that has given us the Purushartha, the free will, is the dharma that has given us the buddhi and access to the Shastras. So, when it has given the free will, it has given us the buddhi and access to the Shastras also. It has made the Shastras available and it has given us access to the Shastras also. Therefore, we have to do. If we don't make use of it fully, we will end up judging others. We will end up judging others. What does judging others means? If you have developed dvesha, it means you have judged. What is the indicator of being, if you have developed dvesha, you have judged. That's why to an enlightened one, you will be very comfortable because you will not be judged. You will be corrected but not judged. Look at the difference. You will be corrected but not judged. In the rest of the cases, you will be judged and punished, but not helped. Therefore, we say no, do not. Dvesha means you have judged. You follow? We should not judge. Meaning we should not develop dvesha. Is it okay, Venkatachala? Yeah. Or unmute பண்ணுங்க.
My question is slightly,
Or unmute பண்ணுங்க.
yeah, I think it's unmuted now.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Hmm. Hmm.
My
Yes.
question is,
Hmm.
if I take
Yes.
an example of Ramayana, if I understand, only Rama when he was, only when Sita was abducted, Rama rose. Till then, he knew about Ravana, and the entire society knew about Ravana. But only when there was a personal impact to the family or to the self, he acted against adharma. The same way, Krishna didn't personally act in Mahabharata. He did not even guide, he did not even say this or that. But in a way, he was managing the situation. But nevertheless, they did not act on their own. So that's the reason I said, where are we? Should we act only when individually me or my family is affected, or general public? Where does it, how far do you take this?
Correct. Correct. Mute பண்ணிடுங்க. Mute பண்ணிடுங்க.
Yeah.
The clarification is, how far do we go into helping? Examples that he is giving is, it's not that Ravana wasn't known before. It's not that Krishna didn't knew the Kauravas, etc. and all that. But they didn't choose to act unless something actually happened. Like until Sita was not abducted, Rama was staying quiet. Sishyasteham Shadimam Dvam Prapanam. Till Arjuna said that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was also staying quiet. If these Udarna Purushas themselves have done like this, how do we go into it? Correct, Venkatachala? Yeah. Answer. See. They all know it and they all will wait for that last drop, titration. Till that point, a chance will be given to them. Again, I repeat, all these people wait. waiting doesn't mean they are indifferent. A chance is given. For him to, a chance is always given for them to recover. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Is the law. Now, when anybody is doing other make, the first question that a layperson should ask, we are answering from our standpoint. When you see an adharma, the first question that the layperson should ask is what? To oneself, not to the other, to oneself. What? Am I not sinning or sinning differently? Again, this is the touchstone. Am I not sinning or sinning differently? What will be the answer? What will be the answer? A, not sinning at all. B, sinning differently. What will be the answer? A or B? If anybody says A, I will prostrate to them. If anybody says B, triple prostrations to them. A or B? Kolatur. A or B? Vijay. A or B? நீங்களே சொல்லுங்க சார், அதையும் சொல்லக்கூடாது இல்லையா? B. It's B. We sin differently. Because I am sinning differently, my immediate priority should be to prevent myself from sinning. Therefore, we tell, don't try these things of going and correcting this, etc. You are only sinning differently. He amongst you who has not committed any sin, not sinning differently, who has not committed any sin, and all human beings sin differently. Because of the difference way of sinning, we think we are better off. All of them. But Dharma sees everybody on an equal plane. So there is an equality of that. Is why howsoever you sin differently, the consequence of sinning, which is the mental pain agony, is the same for everybody. That's why the only communist in this world is Dharma. The only thing that practices communism in this world is Dharma. That is only thing that practices communism. Because how you sin different new methods of sin you find and do. Consequence will be the universe. Are you able to follow? So the first question is what? Am I not sinning or sinning differently? Am I sinning or not sinning differently? If I am sinning differently, what I should do? I should stop that. When I'm trying to stop that, I know how helpless I am in that. How helplessly I will be drawn back into the sin again and again and again. At that time, what will you do? You sympathize with yourself and give yourself some time. Correct? Are you able to follow? You are sinning differently. You make an effort to get out of that sinning, your unique way of sinning. யாரை சொல்றது? ஓகே, நான் என்னையே சொல்லிக்கிறேன். எதுக்கு யாரை பத்தி? I don't want to say anybody here. I will talk about myself now. Supposing, not supposing, okay, Ganesh, I am sinning differently. வச்சுக்கோங்க. I am sinning differently. When I am sinning differently, first thing what I need to do, I need to stop sinning in Aravindan sin. let us put it unique way. Like Arvindan's type of sinning is very unique to Arvindan. Now, what Arvindan should do? He should make an effort to stop sinning. When I am making an effort to stop sinning in my own unique way, I know how difficult it is, because time and again my mind pulls me down, draws me back, pulls me down. At that time, what do? I become very sympathetic and compassionate to me. Correct? I become very sympathetic and compassionate to me and continue to help myself. Correct? Are you okay till now? This you do to another. When somebody is sinning differently, the same sympathy and compassion you have to the other also. There you are not judging. This is proper use of dharma. Venkatachala. This is the proper use of dharma. Otherwise, what happens? Because I am not sinning in that particular way, I make a mincemeat of the other. Should not happen. You follow? It should not happen. Did I answer you? They waited. Why Rama and Krishna? They had that sympathy. They said, okay, give him one more, one more day, one more chance, one more day, one more day. Why? Because the Purushartha is there. The free will is there. There is wise counsel around them. Something may trigger and they can wake up. Something may trigger and they can wake up. See, when Sita was abducted, Rama sitting in his place, he could have shot the arrow. It would have killed Ravana. He need not make a bridge and make pact with Sugriva and all that, make all this drama. He need not do all that. Sitting in his place, he could have shot an arrow and Ravana would have been killed. And Sita doesn't even require Rama. You know that, no? Sita doesn't require Rama to come and protect her. One look of Sita would have burnt Ravana already. You don't think that Sita needed Ravana. Sorry, Sita needed Rama. Sita doesn't even need Rama. Sita can do it by herself. But still they give. That's their, no. That's why they are so great. They are so great. They are so great. You remember? With this example, I conclude. Yeah. Swamiji gives this example, no? The lady was running and the prince was chasing the lady and the lady was running and running and running. Finally, she turned back and said, I was running away from you to protect you, she said. I was not running away out of fear. He is coming to molest her. And this lady was running. Look at that compassion. You run to save the other guy. That is the power of dharma. You follow? You run in order to save, because you look back, it will be burned to ashes. You follow? With this, we conclude. Yes, Chalunga, Venkat. While thinking about dvesha, we develop hatred when we come across a bad person. Some scriptures do say we should distance ourselves from such person. Why does Vedanta say we should go beyond dvesha? When we say running away from a dvesha creating person is a temporary solution, Mala, correct. Running away from a dvesha creating person is a temporary solution to calm your mind. Because you run away, wherever you run away, there will be another person sitting there causing the same dvesha. Where will you run beyond a point? Therefore, the other method is transcend it. The other method is to transcend. It's a temporary solution. But Vedanta doesn't believe in temporary solutions because the temporary solution itself becomes another problem. You have a problem. You give a solution, and the solution itself becomes another problem. It means you replace one problem with the other problem. Vedanta doesn't take that method. The method of Vedanta is to eliminate it, is to transcend it. Seriya? With this, we conclude. And again, another reminder for those who are living in Chennai, 20th evening, Music Academy. We expect all of you to be there in the Music Academy on Saturday evening for the Guru Purnima celebration. Thank you.